Hello and welcome to this latest Mythical Ireland news bulletin. My name is Anthony Murphy. Today I'm going to be looking at a review of a new book about folklore in County Meath. I'm also going to explore a possible new monument in the Boyne Valley near Douth. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Bridget's Way pilgrimage for 2014 and some video news from the internet. Well, the first thing I'm going to do this evening is talk to you about this lovely little book. It's called Meath Folk Tales by Richard Marsh. It's basically examines a whole load of different myths, legends and folk tales mainly from County Meath and the area. County Meath is home to the famous monuments of Newgrange Nouth and Douth in the Boyne Valley, and also Lough Crew. But there's many folk tales associated with various parts of Meath that have been collected in this lovely little work. One of them that I took particular interest in, there's a small chapter that's called Sleeping Soldiers, and that took my interest immediately, not least because of the famous myth connected with a ring fort called Garretts Fort near Ardee, which actually features in one of the videos I'm going to be talking about. And these myths crop up in relation to different sites. Garretts Fort is very well known in the area, but less known is the fact that there's a similar myth told about, well, I suppose an unknown fort at Rossnaree, which is on the southern bank of the Boyne River opposite Nouth. Would be along the southern shore of the bend of the Boyne. I'm going to read a little bit from this book. This story was told by a man from Navan called James Neal, who was 74 years old at the time, and the story was collected by the National Folklore Commission in 1938. I heard tell of a man that lived a bit up from Rossnaree, and he was coming home from Drogheda, and he was drunk, staggering along the road when he saw a fort a bit up from Rossnaree Hill. Well, he stopped when he saw the light, and a grand looking place on his left hand side, and great light. The Boyne was on the right. Well, he walked into it, and when he went in there were a lot of bags hanging around a big wall, and there was a sword stuck in a bag. He went over and he was lifting up the sword, and according as he was lifting it, there was a man's head lifted up from this big bag, and a horse along with him. And he was riding the horse. And according as he drew out the sword, these are the man's exact words, and according as he drew out the sword, there were horsemen rising all around the wall. They were nearly clear out of where they were, and he got afeared, A-F-E-E-R-D, he got afeared, and he let the sword drop back in. And as soon as he did, he was told, "Go home, you coward." I disremember the regiment he'd have lifted out of prison if he'd lifted up the sword altogether. That story is a similar version of the one about Garretts Fort that says that there's a sleeping army buried there in a chamber beneath the ring fort, and they're waiting for a red-haired, six-fingered hero to come along and pull a sword out of the wall. And these stories are also connected with the end of time, or the apocalypse, or the end of the world, where, you know, this army comes out to fight for Ireland's glory. So it's very interesting. Anyway, the book is called Meath Folk Tales by Richard Marsh, available in all good bookshops. I bought mine in Waterstones in Drogheda for the sum of €12.99, and that is published by the History Press Ireland. Nice little book, very well worth the time. I wanted to tell you briefly about a possible monument that I've seen on aerial imagery of the Boyne Valley. I regularly use Google Earth, and myself and Richard Moore over the years have used a lot of maps to plot possible alignments of monuments and that sort of thing. And Google Earth's a very handy tool because you can plot lines, you can find distances, you can look at precise alignments, you can measure the width of monuments, and now of course with all the high-res imagery they have of Ireland, you can look at monuments in a way that you've never been able to do so before. I was looking at Ballyboy Lake, which is a lake not far from Douth, about a kilometre and a quarter from Douth, and it's a very small lake. It's no more than a big pond really. It seems to dry out during the summer a little bit, and there's a circular shape on that lake, which I think you can see in some of these images. It showed up in Google Earth, and I thought maybe it was just an optical thing, or perhaps just the colour of the vegetation at the time of year. But I also found it in Flash Earth, which is Microsoft's sort of equivalent of Google Earth. And it's also present in Ordnance Survey aerial imagery. So that one's interesting. I have reported it to a few archaeologists, and I'm not entirely sure whether it's just, as I said, an optical thing, or whether it might be possibly a monument like a crannog, a lake dwelling or something. But hopefully I'll have more information on that over the next few weeks. I also wanted to mention the Brigid's Way pilgrimage. Last year, a group of people led by Dolores Whelan and Karen Ward inaugurated the first Brigid's Way, which is a walk connecting Fort near Dundalk in County Louth with the village of Kildare in County Kildare. What spurred them into action to establish this pilgrimage, or to re-establish this pilgrimage I should say, was a lecture that I gave in Dundalk, where I was speaking about the alignment. There's a very straight alignment of ancient sites stretching from Fort, the Holy Well at Fort Hill, through the hills of Mount Oriel and Slane and Tara, and through several other monuments. And that alignment finishes up at the Curragh in County Kildare. Now Fort was the place where the saint that we know as Saint Bridget was said to have been born, and the Curragh was where she grazed her cattle, and of course she founded her monastery at Kildare village, which is on the fringes of the Curragh plain. So this alignment would appear to have connections with St. Bridget, but of course St. Bridget was basically an original prehistoric goddess. Bridget was said to have been one of the daughters of the Dagda. What's also interesting, of course, is the fact that it dissects several very important sites, including the Hill of Tara, which of course was the seat of the High Kings in ancient Ireland, and which has a history going back all the way to the Stone Age. The pilgrimage this year starts on at Fort, at the Holy Well on the Hill of Fort, Bridget's Well, on June the 28th at 2 p.m. Yeah, the ceremonial start is at 2 p.m. And if you want to look up the details, it's at www.brigitsway.ie. The pilgrimage lasts for more than a week. It starts on the 28th of June and finishes on July the 6th in Kildare village. And what they do is they take a section every day. They might walk 7, 8, 9, 10 miles each day of the journey. So they're trying to recreate a pilgrimage. It turns out that when they were researching the pilgrimage early last year in 2013, they found out that there was actually a pilgrim route attributed to Bridget that ran through certain parts of lands on the fringes of Dundalk town. So it seems that they're re-establishing a very ancient route. So the website there is www.brigitsway.ie if you want to find out more information, and I do hope to participate, to take part in at least some legs of the pilgrimage like I did last year. It was great fun, as well as being as well as reconnecting you to nature and the landscape. It's a very enjoyable thing to participate in. In video news, there's two things I wanted to tell you about. There's two new videos on my YouTube page, in addition to this one, of course. One is the History Channel appearance in 2011 that I made in relation to Newgrange, and you can see, I'll paste the links in the description of this video at the bottom of the video. And the other one is the High Man documentary, which was an effort. It was filmed in 2009, I think, and edited in 2010. It was an attempt to try and draw attention to the High Man figure, which is an ancient warrior in the landscape made up of roads and various features. He appears to stand in the Boyne River, and it's a remarkable feature. It may not be man-made, but it may be, but it has a lot of mythology and alignments and ancient sites around it that make it very, very interesting. So I'll also post the link in the bottom of this video. As usual, if you want to interact or learn more, You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Mythical Ireland. I'm also on Vimeo. I've just started uploading to Vimeo. I'll probably just upload the highest quality stuff to Vimeo. So that's vimeo.com/Mythical Ireland. You can follow Mythical Ireland on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Mythical Ireland. In addition to that, I tend to, with the Mythical Ireland website, I tend to mostly update the blog these days. It's a very handy way to update the website quickly, especially when I'm not at home. So it's blog.mythicalireland.com, blog.mythicalireland.com. On the homepage of the Mythical Ireland website, that's www.mythicalireland.com, there's a little box on the left hand side where you can sign up for my email updates. And I send out semi-regular email updates. Sometimes I don't send one out for a couple of months. There might be a month where I send out 2 or 3. So that's how you interact. And as always, very happy to receive questions. If you want to comment on this video on YouTube, you can. Otherwise, send me an email at mythicalireland@gmail.com. Thanks very much for listening and watching, and I'll see you in the next news bulletin, hopefully.